Right now, the Luna Foundation has just 76.99 million US dollars as reserves. But it came all the way crashing from last week when it was around 3.5 billion or more. As you can see that at its peak it was around 3.9 billion US dollars in their reserves. And then it came down crashing and all of these reserves vanished and left everyone wondering that what happened to these 3.5 billion US dollars. Where did it all go? So let me just give you a brief context of it all. To get a better understanding, we will have to look at the chart of Terra USD. So earlier this week, around 8th of May, when the price of Terra started coming down from the dollar peg, the Council of the Luna Foundation Guard voted to deploy $1.5 billion from their reserves. So around the same time, the very next day, the price of Terra USD also started falling as it started to depeg. But the previous day on 8th of May, there was a post from Duquan and he mentioned that the LFG Council voted to deploy $1.5 billion in capital, 0.75 billion of which was in BTC and 0.75 billion in USD to allay market concerns around USD. Now, this was all being done in the wake of the market volatility in the previous weeks leading up to this. But who knew that the dollar pegged USD would come down crashing to 1 cent in price? But well, that how it turned out to be. But now the main question is that what happened to the 3.5 billion reserve? Now this is very comprehensively answered by Elliptic and they followed the transactions of the Luna Foundation Guard addresses to trace where all the 3.5 billion dollars went, and here are the results. So this is the main account of the Luna Foundation Guard, these are two other accounts, and from here across several different transactions most of the amount went to the Gemini address, and from the very first account and the main account 28,205 Bitcoin went to the Binance address. So this is how much was tracked, and after this it is unsure that what happened to the assets later on. And you can see down here in the article that it has been mentioned that for those seeking to recoup losses suffered through their exposure to UST may be interested to determine whether these Bitcoin remain held on these exchanges. And now the main question is that whether the $3.5 billion reserves that were there to safeguard the Luna ecosystem and the UST ecosystem was actually used for that purpose, or whether it remained held on these exchanges, or whether it went somewhere else. Because according to the strategy of the Luna Foundation Guard, these reserves were to be used to purchase back the UST and the Luna, which would increase the buy pressure and it would keep the dollar peg intact. And the fate of these $3.5 billion that was present in these accounts of the Luna Foundation Guard is still quite uncertain, and all of us would appreciate more transparency from the UST team and also from the Luna Foundation Guard as well. And finally, I would like to show the post that is pinned on the Terra UST page, and they mention that a post-mortem on everything that transpired in the past week is in progress. It will be published as soon as possible. These are tremendously difficult times for everyone affected. The feelings are still raw. Please be safe. The strength of the lunatics has been amazing and more to come. So this post shows bit optimism and also promises that a postmortem would be carried out. But keeping in mind what I told about this $3.5 billion that they had in reserves, we all would appreciate more transparency from the teams of Luna, and it would also give some closure knowing whether these funds were used for the right purpose or whether they weren't deployed or whether they went somewhere else. So that's it for this video. If you found this video to be helpful in increasing your knowledge about the subject matter, do give this video a like and also subscribe if you are interested in deeper analysis on different topics.